Most welcome to each and all. The ultimate indivisibility of the universe and the interconnectedness of everything in it, including you and me, is a fact that merely awaits further evidence. And while scientists continue their search through observation, experimentation, and all manner of scientific methodologies to unify quantum theories with those of relativity, mystics, yogis, and other advanced seekers of God have also sought, and in some cases even achieved, their own validation through direct experience and conscious union with the one cohesive energy of truth and love, who is also known as God. This is an especially exciting post for me because it takes me back to 1977 when I first came across the Tao of Physics by Fritjof Capra and began to think about the foundations and implications for integration and social harmony across the kaleidoscope of hard-headed humanity on a much higher level. And yet, even before that time, and notwithstanding my own experiences of being set aside and held back for racial and other bogus reasons, I had already intuitively embraced the ideal of unity, which I later found so profoundly expressed by Sri Sathya Sai Baba. Nations are many, but earth is one. Beings are many, but breath is one. Stars are many, but sky is one. Oceans are many, but water is one. Religions are many, but God is one. Jewels are many, but gold is one. Appearances are many, but reality is one. Over the years, I've given talks on unity and deliberately promoted it throughout my professional career and personal life. I would always find ways to discuss the principles of ecological modeling, systems thinking, and their applications to leadership, organizations, cultures, religions, and overall human behavior, while always emphasizing humanity's interconnectedness, interdependence, and the commonality of our pursuit for happiness, inner peace, and self-fulfillment. Whenever appropriate, I would also zoom in on our personal responsibility to manage and harmonize the energies of our own intentions, our own emotions, our own words and actions. And yet, be that as it was, and still is, let me suggest that the very existence of one or even multiple parallel universes and the actual use of the term universe affirms the underlying unity among all this diversity that sprung forth from the first cause, or as some might prefer, the Big Bang, and then evolved through space-time. Physically, we are all amalgams of stardust. Mentally, we are bundles of our conscious and unconscious memories. And spiritually, we are neither distinct nor different from the one omnipresent, omniscient, omnipotent divine. What now follows is a scrumptious compilation of carefully selected words from renowned scientists, acknowledged spiritual preceptors, poets, and, perhaps to no one's surprise, also me. I had more than a little trouble selecting and limiting these words and finding good sequence, But since they all share the same theme and play in the same band, I decided that a nice arrangement with good images would be useful. And moving from science to spirituality to education and all around might also be helpful and reinforcing. So let's begin with a wonderful assertion by Professor Fritjof Capra himself, who, in addition to being an eminent, groundbreaking physicist, has also been referred to as a deep ecologist. We'll then just carry on with one exhilarating and sparkling gem of science and wisdom after another. The basic oneness of the universe is not only the central characteristic of the mystical experience, Capra said, but is also one of the most important revelations of modern physics. Leonardo da Vinci was as great a mechanic and inventor as were Newton and his friends. Yet, a glance at his notebooks shows us that what fascinated him about nature was its variety, its infinite adaptability, the fitness and the individuality of all its parts. By contrast, what made astronomy a pleasure for Newton was its unity, its singleness, its model of a nature in which the diversified parts were mere guises for the same blank atoms. Man's first glance at the universe discovers only variety, diversity, and multiplicity of phenomena. Let that glance be illuminated by science, by the science which brings man closer to God, and simplicity and unity will shine on all sides. The essence of the beautiful is the unity in variety. Here's one I recently concocted. To use the term from alpha to omega and suggest that it runs the gamut and includes everything is not quite true. True unity is alpha to alpha within alpha. Nature. Each of her works has an essence of its own. Each of her phenomena a special characterization, and yet their diversity is in unity. The reason why the world lacks unity and lies broken and in heaps is because man is disunited within himself. The more we split and pulverize matter artificially, the more insistently it proclaims its fundamental unity. We are all linked by a fabric of unseen connections. This fabric is constantly changing and evolving. This field is directly structured and influenced by our behavior and by our understanding. What you are and who you are should provide greater clarity about where you have been and where you are headed. Although one distinguishes spiritual from physical nature, the ultimate unification of the two is the consequence of the struggle for internal, external, and eternal peace. Whatever differences are there, they are only the creations of the mind. If one wants to eliminate these differences and realize the principle of unity in diversity, one has to realize his true nature. It is only when you turn your perception away from this fact of unity will you experience diversity. Therefore, turn your cognitive faculties on the principle of unity. Behold, how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. Meditation and spiritual practice are good, but also action. It's very important to be clear about who you are and also about your relation to the earth. Develop yourself according to your own tradition and the call of your own heart. But remember to respect differences and strive for unity. Here's a few lyrics from the song Imagine by John Lennon, which I won't sing. You may say that I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us and the world will be as one. You are never alone. You are eternally connected with everyone. There is beauty in discovery. There is mathematics in music, a kinship of science and poetry in the descriptions of nature, and exquisite form in a molecule. Attempts to place different disciplines in different camps are revealed as artificial in the face of the unity of knowledge. I believe that the only true education comes through the stimulation of the child's powers by the demands of the social situations in which he finds himself. Through these demands, he is stimulated to act as a member of a unity, to emerge from his original narrowness of action and feeling, and to conceive of himself from the standpoint of the welfare of the group to which he belongs. The object of education is to give man the unity of truth. The destiny of humankind is to unite, not to divide. If you keep on dividing, you will end up as a collection of monkeys throwing nuts at each other out of separate trees. Remember, upon the conduct of each depends the fate of all. Unity, to be real, must stand the severest strain without breaking. The history of science is the history of mankind's unity, of its sublime purpose, of its gradual redemption. Every chemical substance, every plant, every animal in its growth teaches the unity of the cause and the variety of appearance. Lao Tzu said, "The wise embrace unity, luminous without ostentation, distinguished without justifying, recognized without boasting, persevering without complaining." Religion is to serve humankind. Religion has come to reform and unite humans, not to divide them. We must condemn extremism and terrorism in the name of religion and unite humankind if we believe in the unity of God. Here's a very interesting one by Albert Einstein that most would fail to realize he actually said. The religion of the future will be a cosmic religion. It should transcend a personal God and avoid dogmas and theology. Covering both the natural and the spiritual, it should be based on a religious sense arising from the experience of all things, natural and spiritual, as a meaningful unity. Buddhism, he said, answers this description. Now, this one is from the Holy Bible. There is one body and one spirit, even as ye are called in one hope of your calling. One Lord, one faith, one baptism, one God and Father of all, who is above all, and through all, and in all. Exoteric, or literal reading of Scripture, engulfs in dogma the true universality of religion. A panorama of unity unfolds in an understanding of esoteric or inner truth and meaning. Even if a unity of faith is not possible, a unity of love is. To see the unity in diversity is yoga. To see that the same consciousness is in everyone. Whoever realizes that yoga or union will always love the whole universe as part of his or her very own soul. Unity confers joy and peace. This one is by John Muir, the great American naturalist. When we try to pick out anything by itself, we find it hitched to everything else in the universe. The whole wilderness is unity and interrelation, is alive and familiar, full of humanity. As knowledge advances, science ceases to scoff at religion, and religion ceases to frown on science. The hour of mockery by the one and of reproof by the other is passing away. Henceforth, they will dwell together in unity and goodwill. They will mutually illustrate the wisdom, the power, and grace of God. Science will adorn and enrich religion, and religion will ennoble and sanctify science. Following are three related and reinforcing messages that have already really been expressed. These are from Eckhart Tolle, Abdul Baha, and Sri Satya Sai Baba. Religions, to a large extent, became divisive rather than unifying forces. Instead of bringing about an ending of violence and hatred through a realization of the fundamental oneness of all life, they brought more violence and more hatred, more divisions between people, as well as between different religions, and even within the same religion. They became ideologies belief systems people could identify with, and so use them to enhance their false sense of self. Through them, they could make themselves right and make others wrong, and thus define their identity through their enemies, the others, the non-believers, or the wrong believers, who not infrequently they saw themselves justified in killing. Religion should unite all hearts and cause wars and disputes to vanish from the face of the earth, give birth to spirituality, and bring life and light to each heart. If religion becomes a cause of dislike, hatred, and division, it were better to be without it. And to withdraw from such a religion would be a truly religious act. For it is clear that the purpose of a remedy is to cure. But if the remedy should only aggravate the complaint, it had better be left alone. Any religion which is not a cause of love and unity is no religion. There is only one religion, the religion of love. There is only one language, the language of the heart. There is only one race, the race of humanity. There is only one law, the law of karma. There is only one God, and he is omnipresent. Here's one by Mahatma Gandhi that expresses a principle that sat behind his movement and all his motivations. I believe in the essential unity of all that lives, he said. Therefore, I believe that if one person gains spiritually, the whole world gains. And if that one person falls, the whole world falls to that extent. Here's a rather deep one from Lord Buddha. I'll read it twice. Unity can only be manifested by the binary. Unity itself and the idea of unity are already two. Again, unity can only be manifested by the binary. Unity itself and the idea of unity are already two. I believe this is like saying God is, while knowing there is nothing more to think, to say, or even to do. And here is Lord Buddha again. He who experiences the unity of life sees his own self in all beings, and all beings in his own self, and looks on everything with an impartial eye. There are only two kinds of people in the world: those who divide people into two or more kinds of people, and those who don't. No one is independent. Every one of us is an expansion of the supreme personality of Godhead. This accounts for unity in diversity. There are diverse manifestations, but at the same time, there is only one God. Everything is an expansion of God's energy. Here are two verses that I wrote. The first in the early 2000s, and the second around 2011 or maybe 2012. All distinctions are ultimately superficial. They are reflections of delusory projections that present themselves throughout the various stages of our adolescent consciousness. And here's the second one. So elusive that unity, so resistant are we to surrender self-will in peace and humility, to do the work required, to live in the truth we are, to achieve dispassionate detachment and the divine experience that hard-won discipline and love-born wisdom confer. Maya Angelou, you are the sum total of everything you've ever seen, heard, eaten, smelled, been told, forgot. It's all there. Everything influences each of us. And because of that, I try to make sure that my experiences are positive. Whatever disunites man from God also disunites man from man. Is there anything worse for a state than to be split and disunited, or anything better than cohesion and unity? If only everyone would conquer the evil within themselves, the world would be one without territories. And the thousands of fishes moved as a huge beast piercing the water. They appear united, inexorably bound by common fate. How comes this unity? Do not struggle. Go with the flow of things, and you will find yourself at one with the mysterious unity of the universe. Finally, I wanted to add that the highest, most practical, and most self-rewarding unity that anyone can ever achieve is the unification of one's own triune body, mind, and spirit. This may seem quite difficult, and it is. And yet one's own experience will show that it is more than worth the effort. So here are two things we might try. First, paying increasing attention to our own extensions by using and practicing the acronym of the WATCH, and carefully watching and managing our words, actions, thoughts, character, and heart. WATCH. And secondly, we can engage our heads, hands, and hearts with ever greater harmony, meaning that whenever a thought comes to mind, and before we place that thought into words or actions, we should first check in with our hearts, which is the seat of human conscience and where the Lord of the universe resides. Thus, we will allow our hearts to inform and guide the thoughts that arise in our heads and the actions that come from our hands or from any other organ of action. This is euphemistically called 3HV, heart, head, and hands, led and directed by universal human values, the V, such as truth, peace, morality, compassion, kindness, respect, nonviolence, understanding, and others. So, on we go with more peace, more wisdom, and in full confidence that we will come to know and perhaps even experience that who we most essentially are. I'll now leave you with this complete list of the authors and sources I have referred to. Thank you. See you next time.